If you guys aren't aware, whenever you go to Iran, you will not expect how it looked just 30, 40, 50 years ago compared to what it is today. If you look at Iran, it's a crumbled up, messy place with a lot of destruction, hurt, pain, terrorism, bombs, missiles, ammunition, all this crazy stuff. You see crumbled buildings, you see people in pain and sorrow, and you see women wearing hijabs, locked into these like big costumes where they can't even show their identity. But when you look at Iran, just 30, 40, 50 short years ago, it was a totally different country. Iran was one of the top prospering nations in the whole world. Women could walk around free, so could men. And they weren't under the Islamic regime. They didn't believe in Islam. In fact, many of them were Christians. Many of them were born again Christians. But you know, even through the whole Islamic regime, right now in 2023, many, and by the thousands and millions, Iranians are coming back to Jesus Christ. This is great news. This is fantastic news. We have thousands and hundreds of thousands of Iranians coming to Jesus Christ, even under the Islamic regime. They are finding Jesus Christ after COVID because many Bibles are being translated into their language so that they can understand the Word of God. Many of them are being able to hear the gospel again, are given these opportunities to hear. You know, so if you guys don't know the history, many of these now current day Muslims in Iran, and not just the Iran, but all throughout the Middle East and Northern Africa, unfortunately, they're Muslim by force. Whether it's because right now they'll get persecuted if they convert to Christianity, or it's because their ancestors were forced to convert to Islam, or they would get persecuted. You know, I've had many Middle Eastern friends that have told me about very sad stories in Iran and all throughout the Middle East. How just their recent grandmothers and grandfathers, not even too far, not hundreds or thousands of years ago even, just 30, 40, 50 years ago, their grandparents were burned alive. The men were burned alive in front of their wives and their children, and they had to see their wives and their children get sexually assaulted by Muslim soldiers doing it in the name of Allah for jihad purposes so that they can conquer the whole world. And it's a very sad, unfortunate reality for many. But this is what really happened throughout the Middle East. And I feel like a lot of people forget this true reality in the Middle East. And so it makes it very difficult for people to leave Islam when you're born in the Middle East or Northern Africa. All your conviction in your heart could tell you that you want to leave. But would you really want to go through that example that you've seen Muslims terrorize the hearts of many for thousands and thousands of years? No, it's absolutely absurd. It's disgusting. It's defilement of humans. It's so awful and it's so sad. But as we can see, Iran was not the country that you guys see it is today. Iran used to be a very progressive, a very prosperous, a very rich nation. Their financial economy was one of the top finest in the world. Now Iran, if you look at it, it's not doing so good. Iran is no longer, it's not a first world nation. Iran is not doing so good economically compared to a lot of other nations. Iran is now an Islamic country under an Islamic regime. If you speak out against Islam, if you show things that are against Islam, you could be persecuted, arrested, killed, murdered, stoned. It's a very, very sad thing in Iran that we live in today, that people live in today. It's totally different. Women were allowed to be women and wear dresses. They were allowed to wear feminine hair. They were allowed to wear makeup. Men were allowed to be men. They could wear whatever shirt or pants they want to wear, you know? And the thing is, they were all modest about it as well. They were modest, but they were beautiful. They were handsome. They were young. There's so much life in these photos that I'm showing you guys, or I'm about to show you. And it's very sad because you see all these like young women and men that were just expressing themselves, with their clothing, and not in a revealing way like we see today in modern day America or the West, but like in a very modest way, in a creative way. There's so much lively colors, there's so many popping designs, there's so many cool aesthetics and shapes and cuts. But today in Iran, it's so sad how the devil has blinded their eyes and blinded their ears and has forced them to leave their religion. Because today in Iran, if you're not wearing a hijab as a woman, if you're not covering yourself all in black, hiding everything away, then you could get persecuted, or you'll be mocked, or you'll be checked out, or you'll be sexually assaulted in some way or another. It's very sad. And then the men as well, they're all Muslim as well. And so I don't want to get too much into an Islam. You guys already know how bad Islam is. It's very bad. I believe that Islam it doesn't show any respect to women at all whatsoever. Because when you look at Islam, it says in Surah 434, it says that you could strike your wife. It also says that you could not have sexual relationships with her if she disobeys you. So nothing about that is of God. We know as a Christian, we know as men and women of God, how important sexual relationships are in a marriage, right? And aside from that, we also know how important it is not to strike your wife. Your wife is not your child, right? It's different with a child, but with your wife, a grown woman, that's disrespectful, that's ungodly, that's not true love that comes from God. You're not supposed to at all strike your wife. That is not a godly man. So whenever you look at like the way Islam teaches things and the way Christianity teaches things, you definitely really see that in the country of Iran. So even though I don't like what's going on right now, I really like this as an example because it goes to show you guys the destruction of Islam and what it can have on a nation. And I'm being very genuine, sincere, and nice about this because when you look at the 1970s, just look at this, 1970s, and then look at 2024. You tell me, which Iran do you want to live in? Do you want to live in this one where everything's all colorful, people are wearing what they want within modesty, people are nice, getting along with each other, there's true freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of belief, great economy? Or would you rather live in this one? The Iranian rebels, the Iran where women have to wear hijabs and men are following their false prophet Muhammad in the Quran, and they're not being true men, loving men of God. They're being these men that believe that they're greater than women, and they show that by their actions and not by their words. Which Iran sounds better to you guys? And I think the big reason why I'm making this video is because there has to be something that's said. I'm so tired of Christian YouTube being filled with not enough people speaking up about these things. I understand that two things. One, this is very offensive to many people. And two, you could put yourself at great risk by talking about these things. But you know what? At the end of the day, Jesus Christ is all that matters. So if I get persecuted for sharing the truth, the gospel of Jesus Christ, if I get hatred for talking about this, I don't care. Because Jesus Christ is all I need. Jesus Christ is God. As Thomas said and as the apostles said, if Jesus is all I have, then I have all that I need. It says it in the word of God, John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth shall not perish but have everlasting life. And I'm telling you right now, because I know many Muslims will watch this video, I'm asking you, please sincerely open your eyes and open your ears. There's a reason why I didn't attack Muhammad, I didn't attack Islam throughout this video. I'm just being very sincere in the differences between Islam and Christianity. So when you genuinely truly look at the differences between Islam and Christianity, you see that. You see that in the difference in the nation. And I understand America's not perfect. I understand UK is not perfect. But guess what? They've also strayed away from Christian values. So they're not a good representation of, oh, hey, this is a Christian nation. So please, please, if you have a sincere heart, I genuinely beg you to read the Gospels, read the Word of God sincerely, and look at the destruction that Islam has on societies. It's very sad. It's very twisted. But I pray that this message finds the right people and that many people are led to Jesus Christ through this video. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments, about what you guys think about the regime and how things have turned out in Iran and other countries. Maybe you could share your own personal testimonies or stories that you personally have experienced, or maybe your ancestors. Please subscribe and like this video so more people can watch it, because the YouTube algorithm likes that. Please comment below your opinions and your views, and I hope that you guys have a blessed day. God bless.